Hey guys, this is MHA Universal, and welcome back to What If Deku Had an Adaptation Quirk. Now, where we left off last time, we I had said that uh, Deku what and Uraraka walked into the entrance exam. Now, the written exam, I'd say Deku does that and he gets a fairly high score. Whereas in normal canon, I feel like he would have just barely passed, kind of like how he said. But then it comes to the practical portion. Deku is preparing when he sees Uraraka in the in the in the same field as him. So he goes over to talk to her, and then Ida comes in and says, "You weren't planning on you weren't planning on making her mess up, were you?" And he's like, he kind of just glares at Ida, and he runs up, and he's like, no, no, but it seems that you're intent on distracting me. So then then Present Mike says, "Go! There are no countdowns in real battles." And everyone runs, including Deku, not wanting to be left behind. So he activates 10% of One for All in his entire body because remember in the last part we said that he already had full cow, and he uses that along with his hardening ability in order to easily pass everyone and smash through robots on his way in. Now gather some he would gather about 40 points, 43 points, and Deku would then the 0 pointer would come in, and Deku would think he was gonna run away when he heard a scream. Then Deku does what he thought would never be possible. He goes all the way up to 23% of One for All without breaking his body, and his body's screaming at him. But don't get me wrong, but he doesn't he doesn't have full mastery over the 20%. He just has he just used 20% full cowl because that's what he could use by pushing his most limits in season 4, and back then and in season 4 he only had 8% available to him originally, but he goes all the way up to 20% in his fight against Overhaul. So Deku then rushes out and frees Uraraka, rushes over and frees Uraraka, as well as decides to try and take down the zero pointer. That way it's not endangering more people the way it endangered Uraraka. So then he decides to tear apart the wheel, one of the wheels that it's standing on, and he breaks apart the wheel just as time runs out, and then Deku deactivates One for All, and he feels the immense strain that it had on his body, but then he feels something different about his body, and he looks and he figures nothing of it originally, but when he gets home, his mother says, "Well, Izuku, what's going on? Why do you why are you so tall?" And he really didn't notice, but he kind of did, but he goes and looks in the mirror and realizes that his clothes are slightly smaller on him, and are also kind of tighter on him because his muscles began to break and reform at higher rates than the average human due to his adaptation quirk. Now, I want to ask you guys, what should I who should I ship Deku with? Because I've been racking my brain about it, and I've come up with three possibilities: Uraraka, Mina Ashido, or Momo Yaoyorozu. You let me know in the comments below. But anyway, back to the story. And then 1 week later, or was it 2 weeks? However many weeks later, I'm just gonna say 1.5 weeks later, Deku gets his acceptance letter to UA, and he actually got the highest score because he got 103 points, which then makes him the highest score, the one who scored the highest in this year's entrance exam. So Izuku uh, walks to UA, and he doesn't have that interaction with his mom where his mom teases him about not only bringing action figures because he's not as big of a fanboy. He's still a fanboy, but not as big of one. So Deku runs out of the house and full sprints all the way to UA because he's still been exercising, and now I'm going to say he can comfortably use 15% of One for All. And I know it seems like I'm giving him a lot of percentage One for All right off the bat, but he with his I figured with his adaptation quirk, he can he would be able to handle it as well as the training he did in the before he inherited One for All. So, Deku goes to class 1A and he sees Bakugo. And him and Bakugo kind of give each other a scowl, although it's more lighthearted, more like rival scowl than anything else. So Deku decides that it's best that no one knows about One for All, as well as he decides he's not going to use it very much. Maybe like 5 or 6% of One for All during the beginning. But then what he didn't count on was Aizawa's uh Aizawa's little tests. So they go out and Deku is Deku is tossed a ball and is told to throw it as far as he can. So he uses 5 to 6% of One for All and throws it and gets about, okay, so if he used 100% just in his finger and got 748 meters, then in sorry guys for thinking out loud, but I'm gonna say he gets one. I'm gonna say he gets a little bit over 124 meters, maybe, just because he only used 5 to 6%. Then Aizawa gets mad at him and says, if you're not gonna take this seriously, then you might as well get out of UA. So Deku decides to use as much as he can, which at this point is 15% of One for All, and throws it using full cowl, and he gets around 426 meters. So he then rushes, or then he ends up beating beating Ida, or no. Then everyone says that it looks like fun, and Aizawa gets mad at this and says, if this looks like fun, how about a little challenge? Whoever gets last place is expelled. And everyone's like, that's not fair. And he's like, oh yeah, and natural disasters are. And so Deku is very concerned because he's not sure how far he's going to be able to push One for All. So he then decides to take it seriously and goes up to 23% of One for All. His body doesn't screech at him as much this time, but he's still in pain. So Deku ends up running with 23% of One for All and ends up beating Ida in speed. In the grip strength test, he gets about about the same as Shoji in the grip strength test. And in in and in the standing long jump test, he gets third place because there are several people who can just pass over the sand pit or just float for just go further than everyone else, like Bakugo, and who else was it that went really far? I think it was Uraraka. So he then shows everyone the results, Izuku being placed third, just under Momo Yaoyorozu, as well as Katsuki Bakugo. And I think I'm gonna leave it off here after. And do you guys want Mineta expelled or not? So tell me down below in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hit like and subscribe. Bye.